drove here too, which is even better. Thanks, buddy. We have George in from Pittsburgh, so people traveling from all over. Really means a lot to us, and shows how great the hobby is, how great the community is, and again, that's what this is about. It's about the community. When you guys checked in, you met some of the interns. We're raffling off, along with all the guest, speakers tonight, the guests of honor. We're raffling off some awesome stuff tonight for you guys. So throughout the night, if you're feeling lucky or feeling a little looser after a couple of BC Vintage Old Fashions, feel free to purchase some more tickets. I think the highlight might be the Luka Doncic signed jersey. We have a hobby box card from Fanatics that's close to $1,000. We thank them. Jimmy Spence, donated a great slab box to display your high-end or your Holy Grail cards that you have. There's a Nolan Ryan baseball. I'm a Taylor Swift signed photo. I know everybody in here is a Swiftie. There you go. So I might be missing a couple. We'll call them out throughout the night. But some great items being raffled off at the end of the night. So feel free to link up with one of the interns if you're feeling lucky.
And then I just wanted to maybe ask you guys real quick, make this a little interactive. We always talk about stuff that we bring or the speakers bring, but has anybody here, just shout it out, has anybody bought something, picked up something recently in their collection, something that they've really wanted for a long time, a holy grail to them? Does anybody want to share something real quick in the audience if you picked something up recently? Anybody, just shout it out.
Signed Jesse Owens autograph.
Mike Schreiner and Jesse Owens. And it's an Ohio State alum right there.
Where did I get that?
Yeah, where did you get that from? So we want to make this interactive. So if you guys have any questions during the night, just feel free to shout them out to us. We want to share, your wins as much as everyone else's.
Before we bring our first speaker, guys, we wanted to do our own little show and tell because we've been busy acquiring things and adding new things into our collection. That's typically the most exciting part of the night that people enjoy the most is the show and tell items that the guest speakers bring in because everybody in here is an avid collector and loves the hobby. And it doesn't necessarily have to be anything crazy expensive. It could be something that personally means just a lot to you, something that you're very passionate about. Chris and I brought a little bit of both, and we just wanted to show it off for you guys. Not show it off, but also ask you guys a few questions about some of these pieces. So the first piece I have here is a dual-signed baseball, vintage, signed by Hank Aaron and Roger Maris. The vintage home run king, single season and all-time record. Now, we love this ball. It's got the vintage look to it, the vintage color. The signatures are vintage ballpoint ink. Like that, Jimmy? I know my stuff. But we've been debating at the office if we leave this as is, and I hope nobody gets mad, but we have discussed adding signatures to this. Because whether you like it or not, there are people that have broken these guys' records.
Whether it was natural or not.
Yeah, some legitimate, some not. The first name that came to mind was Aaron Judge because we're all Yankee fans. Well, he and I are Yankee fans. So Judge was the first one because he obviously broke Maris's AL record. And we went back and forth. Now, if I could get a quick show of hands, does anybody think we should add Aaron Judge's signature to this ball? That was hard nose. I got one yes in the
Another
back.
one, got 2, 3.
But they're bigger Yankee fans than I am. And then I feel like everybody's going to raise their hand when I bring up Barry Bonds. He should be on here, right? Yeah, no? Okay. He broke both of them, so we've been going back and forth. Then Sosa comes up, and McGuire comes up. And I think the general consensus is you'd absolutely destroyed this piece of history. But this is BC Vintage Collectors Exchange. If there's a modern company, you never know. They might think that that's a great idea just to keep adding names to it. I disagree.
Yeah, I disagree too. It was a tough one. I kind of do like that idea, but vintage, stick with the vintage.
Yeah, so we didn't write it yet, guys, but I might sign it at the end of the night.
And one more item we want to share real quick. This is an unsigned item. You want to hold this?
I will hold it.
So this is a 1977 New York Yankees World Series trophy. This is issued by the Yankees. So every member of the team gets a trophy like this. The boss, George Steinbrenner, he gets a big one. They do make extras if you're a player and you want to order an extra, but those ones are significantly different value. This one is an original first issue. This is to Getty Oil. Now I want to show this picture we have here. Excuse me. So this is a great picture of Reggie Jackson that year, hitting one of several home runs that year with a big Getty sponsorship billboard in the background. Getty was a major sponsor of the Yankees, and because of that, Steinbrenner gave Getty one of these trophies, and we recently acquired this, and we thought that was just a really cool story. And I want to show one more piece to go with it. This is also from that same year, so we thought this kind of tied into it a little bit as well. This is Reggie and Billy Martin. Obviously, their relationship is notorious about how they did not get along. They hated each other, but this is right after the '77 World Series. It's a famous photo of them sitting together. It looks like they probably have a beer in their hands. But Reggie not only signed it, but he said, after Game 6 of the '77 World Series, friends for a day. So just a fun piece, the straw that stirred the drink. But we just wanted to share some great items, and we got plenty more stuff that the guests have brought, and we're going to get to that right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
So who's our first guest, CC?
That's a good question.
Representative from Fanatics, Andrew Eckert, is about to come up. Let's hear it for him, guys. So I'm going to give a quick intro on Andrew, who, by the way, we have to thank because he signed up for this last minute after a couple of cancellations and was so gracious and cool about doing this event. Brought a bunch of friends, as you all could hear, who are all awesome as well. Andrew works at Fanatics. He will tell you his role. He's a longtime collector, like almost everybody in here. Clearly a big Notre Dame fan. Equipment manager of the team at one point in his life. And now he works at Fanatics as the Director of Business Operations for Fanatics Live and Fanatics Collect. So everybody, welcome Andrew, and thank you for being here again, buddy.
Thank you, Chris.
Please have a seat.
Awesome.
All right, so we'll begin. I did give a brief intro, but I just want to, or if you could let everybody in the audience know how you first got into collecting, and when did you realize that this was the career path, not just a passion?
So I started collecting when I was 11 years old. I actually checked that stat because that's when I first created my eBay account. And it started with autographs. I was a giant Notre Dame fan growing up, and I just wanted to collect all of the autographs of the All-Americans that I could. And that kind of took a turn when I got to college. I became an equipment manager for the Notre Dame football team, and I became obsessed with game-used memorabilia. And so over the next decade, I tried to collect as much game-used Notre Dame memorabilia, like the completionist mindset. I wanted to have every jersey they ever wore, every style of jersey they ever wore, and every helmet. And so that's been sort of like my hunt. There's certainly some white whales out there that I can't find yet, but it keeps me like searching eBay and searching Heritage and all these great auction houses that like have this old vintage memorabilia. When I was doing a master's degree, I tried to start a game-used startup, and that led me to cards. And I realized just the disparity of the market size between cards and game used and tickets and things like that. And so from that point on, I tried to learn as much as I could about cards as quickly as possible. And that led me to writing a newsletter for cards for a few years, was doing consulting professionally, and then was able to merge sort of personal and professional passions.
Yeah, that's what's great about your background is obviously you're from Fanatics Live, Fanatics Collect, but you have this appreciation. You love to collect vintage stuff, not just cards, but memorabilia, game used stuff, and that's why we're really excited to have you here today. So let's go back to your day-to-day and what you're doing right now. Tell everybody that maybe doesn't know, what is Fanatics Live, what is Fanatics Collect? Just give them a real quick intro.
I'll start with Fanatics Collect because it's a little easier to understand probably for this group. So Fanatics Collect is formerly known as PWCC. It's a great auction house out of Tigard, Oregon, and that sells 10 to 12,000 cards each week. and then it has a premier auction and a buy now marketplace. So there's sort of 3 modems for which you can buy cards in, and that auction house became Fanatics Collect when we rebranded a few months ago. Fanatics Live is a live streaming platform focused on sports card breaking. And I'll try to describe sports card breaking as easily as I can, but let's say I have a $300 hobby box, in this case Topps Chrome Updates, which came out last week. I could sell one individual that box for $300, or I could split it into 30 different spots, and each spot is a team. And so if you're a Yankees fan, you're a Mets fan, and I'm a Phillies fan.
Ouch.
Oh, sorry. You can each collect kind of what you're passionate about. So for me, buy a ton of Phillies spots. I pay, $30 instead of, or $10 instead of $300 for the box, and then I get as many of those cards that come out of the box.
Right, and as the buyer, you're watching it live on screen as someone is opening the box.
And that's the great thing. There's like a sense of community, right? So you're in that live stream. If you're familiar with the breaker, the seller, they're calling you out saying, hey, I saw this card for you, do you want to buy this? There's people that are in that live stream consistently that become your friends that help you collect with you.
Right. So they're trading, they're buying, they're selling
correct.
within the stream.
There's a great sense of community in the breaking world.
We love it, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what we're trying to do here, just another way to help create and grow the community.
Yeah.
So who are these buyers into the breaks? Are they, what's their profile? What's their type of demographic? Are they older? Are they younger? Where are they from? Tell us a little about your customer, or the collectors.
Our average customer is probably male, no surprise to this group. But they're probably anywhere between 20 and 50. That's the demographic that really engages with like the best in-app experience. And they are looking to collect specific things, whether you're chasing a specific rookie card and you're buying, in this case, the Pirates, and you're chasing Paul Skeens, or you're chasing the team that you grew up watching, in my case, the Phillies. That's sort of the demographic.
So you brought up something there, the Paul Skeens card. So we wanted to definitely talk about that. If you guys have been following the hobby at all, recently there's this bounty out for this Paul Skeens, who was just recently named the NL Rookie of the Year. And so tell us about the bounty, maybe. Tell us about the card. Give us a little background.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, the bounty is on a specific card called the MLB debut patch, which was one of the coolest things that I think Topps and Fanatics has done over the last few years. And what that patch is it's a patch that was actually worn on the field by Paul Skeens in his first game. So when we talk about logo mans or these big cards, a lot of the times they don't actually have attribution to any specific moment. And this is like the pinnacle moment, the moment that they first became a professional baseball player. And so we take that patch and we insert it into a card that's numbered 1 of 1. There's only one of this, and then the player autographs it. And so it's become the de facto best chase card in the hobby, I would say, for baseball card collectors. And so this Skeens in particular, it seems like his organization, the Pittsburgh Pirates, are either trying to give him the card or trying to collect it for themselves. I don't know their motivations, but they've offered season tickets for the next 30 years. They've offered, a all-star game where you're having a game at the park. They offered a meet and greet with Paul Skeens. I think a handful of other things. Libby Dunn offered to take.
That's the most.
Yeah, that's potentially the collector into the box with her private box. So there's been a lot of excitement and momentum about that.
Has there ever been as much hype around a debut patch card as Paul Skeens?
There were some great players in last year's class, Corbin Carroll, Anthony Volpe, but I would say the run Paul Skeens is on over the last 500 days, from starting at the College World Series to being called up in 10 months to yesterday being the NL Rookie of the Year, Cy Young finalist, All-Star pitcher. Like, that to me is one of the greatest rookie seasons. And so, despite pitchers maybe not having the hottest market, he's resetting the bar of what we think of pitchers by his dominance.
If anybody would like to outbid the Pirates, we have a representative from Fanatics. Just let Andrew know what you're willing to give up for the Skeens debut patch card.
Yeah.
So this is all relatively new for Fanatics. We all know the company, but the live, the breaking, Fanatics Collect, PW, all that, this is all the last 5 years, I would say.
Much shorter.
There you go.
Fanatics Live launched its first live stream at the MLB All-Star Game in July of 23. Since then, it's been a sprint, from going 0 to 1. PWCC has obviously been a company for much longer than that, but the Collect rebrand and relaunch was, I think, like 4 months ago. And so while there's some heritage there in terms of the brand, we're trying to create a new path. You see the things we're doing with Sotheby's in terms of high-end matches.
Sorry, guys.
So there's a ton of exciting things that are still innovating each day.
So it's early in the game, as our buddy Henry Yee likes to say, it's still the first inning of all this new stuff that Fanatics is doing. What do you see in the next 5 or 10 years for you guys at Live and Collect and Fanatics in general?
Really, I think it's about connecting the ecosystem, right? So you have different types of collectors that exist, and creating a Fanatics Live collector and becoming a collect, whether you're buying or selling, creating synergies between Topps and Fanatics Collect, right? Like, people at Topps love to collect cards. We know they're opening cards, but what are they doing with those cards? Creating that connected ecosystem is really where we see the power of kind of having all of these disparate things not be disparate anymore, but in fact be part of one vision going forward.
Yeah, that's going to be the theme of the night, definitely, as we continue building up the community.
So I think we're just going to go right into show and tell.
Yeah.
So this is our favorite part of the night, probably most of yours guys too. So Andrew brought in some awesome items from his personal collection. Remember, he mentioned he was the equipment manager at Notre Dame. He's a huge college football fan, and this is going to prove why.
Yeah, so I'll start with the jersey that I'm holding.
I can still.
Perfect. So I've been collecting jerseys, like I said, for about a decade, and I have about 215 game-used jerseys from Notre Dame, starting in 1953. This is actually a 1983 jersey, and it was worn specifically only in one game, which made it incredibly hard to find. There's a local collector to South Bend that I've been badgering for like 5 years for this jersey, and just 2 months ago, he finally gave me the opportunity to buy it. It was worn by the quarterback, Blair Keel, who was actually no longer a quarterback in that game, but a punter, so it is game worn. One of the cool things is, obviously, Notre Dame has had green jerseys, blue jerseys, white jerseys. This was specifically a green jersey, and they had not worn green jerseys in a bunch of years. And the coach at the time, Jerry Faust, said, I will never take Notre Dame blue out of the jersey. And so we put this stripe on to keep that promise to the university.
If you guys think you're a passionate collector, I don't think you're as passionate as Andrew Eckert is.
I go deep. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great piece. By the way, how do you think they're gonna wind up this year?
National title or bust.
Wow.
Yes.
You heard it there first, Shriner.
What about Arby's?
I'll be there in Army cheering them on Saturday night.
There you
I think I've
go.
been to 7 games this year, so yeah.
It's dedication, man. I love it. What else we got here?
Yeah, so next up is, so before they would vote electronically for the Heisman, journalists would submit paper ballots. And so this is 4 of the paper ballots that journalists submitted for, Notre Dame has 7 Heisman winners. By the time they got to the 7th in 1987, they had actually went to digital ballots. And so these are 4 of the 6. I have the other 2 framed at home. But part of my collection is always about getting a complete set. And so this, to me, was like as complete of a set as you could get when it came to these Heisman ballots.
Super cool. 1953. Yeah, this is awesome. I've never seen a Heisman ballot before, so I'm sorry, I'm like nerding out.
So this one is 1956. This is to designate first choice Paul Hornung. Awesome. And he won 56?
He did win in 56. Who are the runners-up? Oklahoma, Tommy McDonald, and Johnny Majors, Tennessee.
Yeah, that's really cool.
How many are there?
There are 4.
Yeah.
There's 4 in this container, and then I have 2 framed at home.
How many ballots exist?
In total, so there was, I think, like 100 journalists that would vote each year. I don't know what that number is today, but it was that many paper ballots. And then again, a local collector had known that I'm always searching for Notre Dame oddities, and so this was something that I had never seen before and something I had to have.
This one's cool. This is 1949 Leon Hart.
I think he was actually a tackle. So gone are the days of tackles or anyone that's not a quarterback winning the Heisman. But
And you also mentioned that these don't exist anymore, right?
no, it's all digital. So journalists submit their ballots via an online submission now. And so you'll never find something like this post, I think like 1985 is kind of what I have it dated to.
Until Fanatics doesn't.
Well, if that's where we end up, that's where we end up.
Any Heisman predictions this year?
It's really tough. It seems like the momentum is behind Travis Hunter. But, you know, Gianti, yeah, he's a great running back.
All right, what else do we got?
Yeah, so this is another thing that I tried to complete a set on. So one of the things that I did was acquire a handwritten play by each Notre Dame championship coach. There was 5 championship coaches, starting with Newt Rockne. And so I actually sent a letter to 2 of the living championship coaches, Ara Parsegian, who's now deceased, and Lou Holtz. And so this is the letter that Holtz sent back to me. And it's a reverse that Rocket Ishmael and Tim Brown ran with great success. And then there's a subtext. We also had a pass off of this that we ran for a touchdown on the first play of the game versus Michigan State in East Lansing. And so you can kind of see him draw up a play. So this started, I collected a Rockne play that I bought in an auction house, and I said, why stop there?
So who here has actually written to a player, an athlete, a celebrity before requesting an autograph or something unique like this? Right, show of hands. Yeah, so a lot of you are familiar with this process. Jimmy, have you done something like that before? I'm sure, like, you know.
Once or twice, right, Jim?
So this is a really cool idea because most people maybe ask for an autograph on an index card or something, but for him to write out the whole play, the X's and the O's, the arrows, and then explaining the play.
Yeah.
What a unique, really, really cool piece, and great idea. Just a great idea to do.
Very thankful for Coach Holtz and Coach Parsegian for taking the time to entertain a kind of wacky idea.
It worked though.
Yeah.
All right, I see you have one more item there.
Yeah, it's just my most recent purchase. So one of the things that we at Fanatics Live and Collect have been working on was a partnership with Burbank, and they went live on a live stream for the first time a few weeks ago, and so I was able to purchase a card of Kobe Bryant. It's the collector's choice card. Being from Philadelphia, it's kind of a weird relationship with Kobe Bryant. Obviously from the city and claims like deep heritage to the city, but crushed us in 2001, and so it's sort of like a love-hate that I have with this card.
Well, you can look at it every day and it'll
Yeah.
remind you of 01 and